survivors to the survivors of that attack. And it reported various locations, and particularly Indian villages, where some of these scattered survivors now live. Well, that's what we know. That's what we know from the historic account. That the Roanoke colonists persisted for 20 years, were attacked, and a few survivors were scattered amongst allied Indian tribes throughout northeastern North Carolina. I don't know how you interpret this map. Yes, it's very difficult to interpret. This is a map that was actually drawn as a result of Roanoke colony's exploration for comparison. That's the James River at the top. Don't hurt yourself trying to read it. You'll only end up in an argument about which river is which river. But clearly, there's a lot of information about what happens to the colony. But that's where we've been stuck for quite a while. A lot of theories, of course, have developed about what happened to the lost colony. Only to recount them right now, because we have new information. Let's talk about new information. In the last decade, there has been more good, solid research that has led to information about the lost colony than we've probably had in the last 100 years since the digging. Now, in most cases, this information wasn't developed because someone was seeking the lost colony, but in an investigation of the process of colonization, of the contact between European cultures, particularly English and Native Americans, research has turned up some very interesting finds. In many ways, it's because we have new technologies. New technologies in terms of lab equipment, new technologies in terms of archaeology and remote sensing, new technologies in terms of digitizing archival collections. It tells us something we didn't know or didn't appreciate so much before. One thing that I've learned to stress is the group of archaeologists, I've worked with archaeologists working on Rhode Island, those working on Hatteras, folks who are working out at Juara, which is an entirely different context story. The most impressive thing to me with my background in investing in technology companies is that the only thing archaeologists had found about the Roanoke colonists' presence in the New World was on Roanoke colony, and it was the remains of a scientific workshop. It was a small shed in which botanical research was done, chemical research was being done, metallurgical research was done. In fact, there's a legitimate claim, or at least an arguable one, that Roanoke Island is home to the very first R&D lab in North America. And I'm so impressed that we don't, it's daunting that we don't have more evidence of where they lived, what they ate, what their day-to-day life was about. But we do know something we perhaps we didn't appreciate, is that there was a tremendous emphasis on science by Raleigh in his investment proposal. I mentioned that Raleigh was trying to do something that was a bad idea in the minds of almost all of his investors, and he had to impress them. Now, I know, having done a lot of investment and having been on the other side of people asking for money, sometimes we try to impress people with science, blinding them with science. Raleigh had that exact same tactic, and that was revealed when a document, a manuscript, showed up in a little archive in England, and it showed up in my most effective research venue. Much of my research has been done in the old bar of the Carolina Inn in Chapel Hill. And because so many small collections were slowly having their card catalogs digitized with characterizations of their holdings, suddenly things that were found but lost forever in a small archive were identifiable. One of the things that was identifiable was the investment pitch Raleigh used for the Roanoke colony, particularly for the first colony. And what it revealed was that while it's been characterized as a vain search for gold or a search for Northwest patches, what Raleigh was emphasizing to his investors was a biotechnology business. They were going to uncover a wide variety of plants that could potentially be drugs. This was biotechnology. The skepticism of his investors was that they were going to be more credible in their scientific work than the preceding failures had been, many of which brought back fool's gold, brought back quartz crystals thinking they were diamonds, brought back tons and tons of black rocks from Baffin Island believing they contained gold ore. Those have been terrible failures, and Raleigh, in part because he was so interested in science personally, an interest that persisted even through his 18 years in the Tower. Raleigh was so interested in science, he viewed that as his competitive advantage. And that's why that first colony, the one that we usually have characterized as an inept, military colony has been mischaracterized. There was a significant component of 108 men that were indeed soldiers, but almost an equally large contingent of that were scientists and technicians. I tend to view the first colony now as having been a scientific team with a large security detail. And Raleigh incorporated in making up that team the sort of emerging scientific disciplines that were necessary to both be credible in the eyes of potential investors and to effectively identify and analyze things being found in the New World, in the New World itself, rather than returning specimens for examination back in England. This is the beginning of scientific enterprise. This is the tradition of Cook, Shackelford, and all those scientific expeditions that have sent around the world in the centuries. Raleigh anticipated the role of science in exploration. And again, many of them watching for symbolism. They had the local knowledge. They were the credible commenters on what was of value in the New World, and they became just as important experts in Raleigh's enterprise as the cartographers and ethnographers and metallurgists. Treatment issues of different perspectives, Wanties and Manuel brought back from their experiences in their New World of England. So before the colony was lost, before we go down that rabbit hole, we should recognize that the enterprise for Roanoke was undertaken first as a scientific venture. The first in the New World. The first R&D lab in the New World. The first projection of scientific expertise as part of the exploration process happens in North Carolina. This is where Betty Raymond Kane would go on a great length about how you treated syphilis in the 16th century. It's a non-trivial issue, although I think Joyce talked about it no more than most of the men in the audience are comfortable hearing about. This is the syringe that was found on the Queen Anne's Revenge. It was part of the assemblage of treatment technologies available in aerial disease at the time. It's a non-trivial issue that amongst Raleigh's investor class in London was an outbreak of syphilis. And nothing sharpens the mind about priorities than something like a life-threatening disease. It became a central part of Raleigh's appeal, why he was looking at the biopharmaceuticals. They believed, based on evidence collected by the Spanish and South America, that in North America they could find botanical treatments for diseases like syphilis that would be less invasive than a syringe full of mercury. Another tremendous accomplishment of that first colony that's going to tell us something about the lost colony was their cartographic work. Raleigh's colonists began with sort of rudimentary maps of the coast of North Carolina that the Spanish had produced, and produced this magnificent, this is a watercolor held by the British Museum, a magnificent depiction of eastern North Carolina. If you know the area, you might recognize a few landmarks. There's a point on here somewhere, but the point is that we've got Roanoke Island, the Albemarle Sound is depicted, Pamlico Sound is depicted, the rivers of Chowan and Roanoke are depicted, and the level of detail and accuracy rivals that of a space photograph. Just a tremendous accomplishment to go from rudimentary understanding and to do that in an environment where you're not mapping mountains. You're in a small boat where you're sliding through the swamp, and your horizon is gray water, gray sky, and a small band of green. Turning that into this was a remarkable accomplishment of mathematics, geometry, and cartography. And it's because that map was so good, I got curious. Why does this map, held in the British Museum, supposedly would have been used as a trophy presented to Queen Elizabeth and the other investors of the venture by Raleigh as a demonstration of the capability of the scientific team he had sent? Why did this map still have what appeared to be patches on it? If this was a presentation item showing your best work, why would it have what historians have vaguely dismissed as simple patches? And that's because when the British Museum eventually got around to examining the map, they discovered that one of those blank patches wasn't covering a hole in the map, it actually covered something that was central to the Roanoke Enterprise plan. It had identified, the first colony had identified as part of their mission, a good location for the possible capital of England and the New World, the so-called city of Raleigh. Hidden within this map, Raleigh had shown his plan for siting
his capital city. And then it was concealed. Well, what's conspicuous about that symbol is it matches with the report that John White, governor of the lost colony, who said that their intention was for the colonists to leave Roanoke Island and move 50 miles into Maine. Conveniently, that spot on the map, a spot that, while it suggests had been deeply researched by the colonists in advance, they had identified it as a good location where one might eventually site a significant settlement. Conveniently, that's 50 miles into the Maine. Okay, 55 miles into the Maine. But nonetheless, it fit with some of the evidence we already had that was suggestive of, not that the colonists had moved there, but at least they were aware of that location in their decision to relocate. That's in the area of Berkeley County. Anybody in Berkeley County? Anybody ever visited Berkeley County? Good. It's in an area that, while it seems obscure to us now, is one of the most historic areas in North Carolina now. It's the site of what we regard as the first European settler in North Carolina, Nathaniel Bates. You know, it's the site of some of the very first colonial governors. Tremendous amount of our very early history occurred in Berkeley County, not because it was Berkeley County, but because of that location. It's at the headwaters of the Chowan and Roanoke River. Any plans you had for exploring or transporting items from the mainland to the ocean would bring you past that location. So if we look at the first colony, the one that we think was inept and cool and was run out by disaster and sought refuge at the first passing ship, it's a different picture emerges. They reported back to Raleigh on their scientific investigations, and they depicted a colony not in disarray, but a colony that was poised for discovery. Raleigh would have portrayed it that way to his investors. Success. We know where we will base our permanent colony, and we know where the opportunities are for investment. Now, archaeologists like to do something called ground truth. It just means dig and see whether what you think might be there is actually there. The good news, or perhaps the interesting news, I don't want to call it good news. Good news is that that spot on the map did not turn out to be a complete misdirection. Entirely possible. It could have simply been a plan that was never followed through on. But as it turned out, archaeologists at that site, known cleverly by archaeologists as Site X, it turns out that site does show evidence that some Roanoke colonists probably were, there's a lot of qualifying to this thing. Some Roanoke colonists, a small party, probably, this is the best explanation why that pocket was there, were at this location for a fairly brief period of time. This is not finding the lost colonists. There's a very high threshold for that. But it is suggestive that a site that was known to the Roanoke colonists indeed may have attracted some of them for a period of time. Now, equally, concurrent with this work was work on Hatteras Island, at a well-known Indian village site that was known to have had contact with Europeans for decades. There's also evidence of Elizabethan artifacts there in the context of an Algonquian Croatan Indian tribe. So both of the stories that we heard from John White that appeared to be in conflict are being validated by archaeological research. We're ground truthing the statements that John White left us with, that some of the colonists would have gone to Croatan, where one would logically await ships coming for resupply. Some of the colonists may have gone 50 miles into the Main. Perhaps the larger body of the colonists would have moved to a safer spot, inland, away from potential efforts by the Spanish to find this route. So I haven't told you where the colony is. We're really not any further than we were when we walked in here, but they're somewhere here. They're in eastern North Carolina. We have evidence of where some of them were, some of the time. We have the reports collected by the Jamestown explorers that some of them survived, persisted in the Indian village along the river systems of eastern North Carolina. But looking at what we've learned, based on the historic record, based on the most recent research, this is the only big text slide I put up here. Using my audience as walls of words to look at. You can read it. In summary, though, there's something inspirational about this story. Knowing what we knew, knowing what we've learned, the colony was not a disaster. They left Roanoke Island without any signal that they were in distress, that they were being forced away. They complied with John White's directive about leaving the message of their location. And indeed, they did seek out locations, not to avoid conflict with their neighbors, which has so often been the story, but actually alliances with neighbors. They became members of Indian communities